We're live. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Margaret Wiltshire, and I am here with my mentor and coach, Doug O'Brien. And
Hey,
hey, Doug, how
hi.
are you?
I'm good. I'm great. I'm happy. I'm glad to be here.
Okay, awesome. I am happy that you've agreed to be here. Today, we are going to talk about how to build a successful life using NLP, Neuro-linguistics programming. And Doug, my mentor and coach, is a master trainer. And he is also a trainer of NLP. Did I say that correctly, Doug?
Yeah, I do trainings, and my title is Master Trainer. Both of those things are true.
And can you tell me some of your trainers, people you've been trained by
Well,
personally?
sure. I started off, my first NLP trainer was a young guy named Anthony Robbins. We called him Tony back in those days. He was a little kid, child, really, 24 years old when I met him. I was 28, he was 24. But yeah, he was my first NLP trainer. I took a firewalk experience like many others have done. And at the time, back there in the 80s, he was running those as if they were introductions to NLP. And NLP was used to do that firewalking thing. Then after you were introduced to it, you could take the whole kit and caboodle, which I eventually did do. So I took the certification courses, a 15-day training to get certified in NLP as a practitioner from Tony Robbins. During that training, he also had different people in, other trainers in to help him train. One guy was named Richard Bandler, who turns out made this stuff up. He was the creator of NLP. He and Richard Bandler and John Grinder were the two originators of NLP. John Grinder was not present at Tony's certification, but Bandler was, at least for a couple of days. Another trainer was Robert Dilts. Both of these guys impressed me immensely, partially because I was so surprised. You mean other people besides Tony can do this too? It's not just Tony Robbins and his immense personal power that makes this happen. It's like, actually, no, there's a technology there that you can do in very different ways from the way Tony does it. And it's still effective, sometimes even more effective, it seems like, when Bandler or Dilts did it. Amazing stuff. So I went and I started with those two guys as well. One of my other trainers that I met for the first time there at Tony's certification course was a hypnotist, a man named Dave Dobson, who I thought was an Ericksonian hypnotherapist, but he wasn't. He was doing Ericksonian-like things, telling stories and, kind of conversational hypnosis. But apparently he developed his techniques separately from Erickson, never studied directly with Erickson, although we met him at a conference once. I have a picture of the two of them together, so it's kind of cool. But those are probably my main influences: Bandler, Dilts, Dobson, and Robbins. Although I've had very many more. I'm kind of a glutton for seminars. It's such a fascinating subject area. I mean, it truly is. It endlessly fascinates me. So I've taken courses from Tad James, pretty much anybody who would have me. I've taken courses from in NLP and in Ericksonian hypnosis.
Okay. If you could just tell me briefly, I know that you are very passionate about this subject. What is it about it that you are passionate about?
Well, it's such an easy question to ask, and there are so many different possible ways I could answer the question. I'm passionate about it because I use it for me, for my own personal life, my own personal relationships with my wife, with my friends, with my family, with inter and intrapersonal communication. It's incredibly vital in my own personal life. And I'm an NLP trainer and I'm an NLP coach, if you will. So I help people make their lives better through NLP. And interestingly, at least interesting to me, when I first learned NLP from Tony Robbins and those folks, NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, was really a way that they were modeling excellence and finding out how people who are really great at something did that, how they used their brain, how they used their beliefs, how they used their eyes, how they used their physiology to get those results, to get those excellent results. NLP said, well, if they can do it, then so can I. I just need to find out the strategy. I need to find out their subjective experience, how they're doing that mentally, physiologically, emotionally, to make that happen. But most of the people that they were modeling were therapists. Like they modeled Milton Erickson, Ericksonian hypnotherapy and psychotherapy. They modeled Fritz Perls, who was a Gestalt therapist. They modeled Virginia Satir, who was a family therapist. They modeled a lot of therapists. So much of NLP really was kind of a therapeutic approach. You know, it was a people helping therapy approach. So a lot of times they said, okay, let's do a therapy with this person. Let's do a therapy. They didn't talk about coaching. You know, they used the word therapy. In the 90s, Tony started thinking, well, you know, maybe this isn't the best word for it because it is so different from, you know, traditional psychotherapy. Okay. So let's maybe change the wording. He chose coaching because he liked athletics. He was a Brooklyn Dodgers fan or Los Angeles Dodgers fan. You know, his coaching appealed to him. It became a term not just by him, but many other people used it as coaching because it is very different. NLP, while it is a therapeutic approach in some regards, is distinctly different from traditional psychotherapy. And this is where I think it's one of the reasons I'm so passionate about it, because in traditional psychotherapy, as I'm sure most of your listeners are aware, if a person has a problem, maybe they're, you know, have a phobia, or maybe they have depression, maybe they have just, you know, bad self-image or whatever. Traditional psychotherapy is, oh, that's terrible. How do you feel about that? And let's talk about this problem for the next, you know, so many years and see if we can get back down to the roots of where it came from and why you are so screwed up, you know, how you became so messed up. Let's find out about that. You and me together. We'll take this journey for the next few years and really examine it. But it didn't really necessarily help. Sometimes it helps, but not usually. Usually it made a person very conversant about their problem without necessarily changing it. NLP says, you know, okay, the past doesn't equal the future. Let's honor the past and say, yes, that's where those patterns developed. But if I want to go forward from here now today into the future, it's the patterns and the things and the beliefs that I have right now, excuse me, that are going to affect that future. So the brain, neuro-linguistic programming comes from the idea that the brain is a computer. And then neuro-linguistics, the neural language of the brain, is necessary to be understood in order so that you can program it. Neuro-linguistic programming, get this computer programmed in a way that gives us better results than the ones we used to have in the past. So it's incredible, you know, the changes that people make rapidly and forever. You know, these aren't just Band-Aids on things. These are fixes. These are changes. These are cures for things that happen very, very quickly. So I'm passionate about it because it works. You know, you can design the life that you want to have and you can make it happen.
Okay. So how long have you been practicing NLP?
Today? Me?
Yes.
About 4. I took my first seminar from Tony Robbins in 1985. So what is that, 30 years?
Wow.
Yeah, 30 years.
Okay. It's like a lifetime you've been
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, sort of, except, you know, not yet.
Okay. Well, some people's lifetime. So tell me, why is it important why is it important, in your opinion, that someone should learn NLP?
Well, because NLP is universal. Like I said, for myself, it impacts my personal life and it's also my professional life. I help people change their lives for the better really rapidly and permanently. That's available to anybody. You know, you don't have to have a problem. You don't have to come to, you know, a therapeutic situation with a phobia or depression in order to get fixed with NLP. NLP says, hey, where are you right now? What's working that's working really well? Let's continue doing that. What's not working so great and you want to make it better? Where do you really want to be with your life? Let's develop strategies to do that. Let's model other people who have done that previously, take on their strategies, put in those programs so it becomes automatic. I've helped, like as an example, thousands of people, perhaps tens of thousands of people, quit smoking with NLP and hypnosis, lose weight and keep it off with NLP and hypnosis. These are things, it's not therapy. It's just saying, this is where I am, this is where I want to go. What are the strategy steps to make it happen? And I use NLP to make it so. So I think NLP is about communication. It's about how you talk to yourself, the questions that you ask yourself, which determines your focus, determines your state. If you're in a good state, you take good actions, do good things. If you're not in a good state, you don't. So NLP helps you to really do anything, sports, business, relationships, anything better.
Okay.
So it's no, really, honestly, no matter what your pursuit in life is, no matter what your desires are, NLP can help you get there, because this brain is a magnificent computer, but it didn't come with an owner's manual.
That's
So
for sure.
NLP is that. It's an owner's manual. It says, how does this sucker work? And how can I start making this work in the way that I want it to? NLP gives you that.
Okay. Can you give me an example? For example, let's say I'm afraid of bridges. How can I use NLP in my life to get rid of that phobia?
Okay. So odds are really good that you're not afraid of bridges if they're just standing there minding their own business. And, say, oh, there's a bridge over there. Probably doesn't bother you at all. It's not going to attack you in your sleep or whatever. Probably what you really mean is that you're afraid of being on bridges and then perhaps falling off them or them collapsing under your immense weight or something. I don't know. But, most people who are afraid of flying aren't afraid of flying. They're afraid of falling and crashing, So what NLP lets us recognize is that any fear is a result of pictures that we make in our mind. Stories we tell ourselves in our mind. We run these movies and we say these things to ourselves, which create the results. If you change those pictures, if you change the way you talk to yourself, it doesn't have to be what you say to yourself, but the way you say it, right, can have an immense impact and change the results completely. So a person who has a phobia of bridges or flying or anything, you can change those pictures, make it so that the movie is different in their brain, the way they talk to themselves is different in their brain, and they will no longer have that phobia.
Okay. Here's another question for you. So I've been to a Tony Robbins event, and I have quite a few friends who've been to a Tony Robbins event, and I walked on fire.
Excellent.
Walked on hot coals and did not get burned. And I understand that Tony used NLP on all of us. Could you explain that phenomenon?
Yeah, that's kind of a weird statement, actually, to say I used NLP on you or something like that, because NLP is the study of the structure of subjective experience. NLP is an owner's manual for the brain.
Okay.
So right now we're talking on a computer.
Right.
This is a computer. We have this ability to talk to each other on this computer because of this technology of this, Google Hangout thing that we're doing with the video, with this video and audio and, digital stuff. Because we know how to work it. I'm not using computer on you.
Okay.
You're not using computer on me. We're using computers to communicate, to see ourselves, to talk to each other. NLP is communication. NLP is the computer. It's how the brain works. It's the study of the structure of subjective experience. That's the definition of NLP. That's what the subtitle of the first book, NLP Volume 1, is called. The study of the structure of subjective experience, right? One of the things that has happened is that people have modeled excellence, right? I said they've modeled therapists and got good at using, quick, fast therapeutic approaches like Milton Erickson did in hypnosis, like Virginia Satir did in family therapy. But they noticed that, when Erickson spoke to people using his Ericksonian hypnosis, that sometimes people would have kind of trance effects. They'd kind of go into trance a bit because of the way he spoke to them. So NLP said, let's figure that out, right? So some parts of NLP studies the language and Ericksonian hypnotic language patterns and says if you say words in this kind of way to somebody, it might have a different kind of effect on them. So if I understand language, I'm aware of how the brain works. As an example, if I said, whatever you do right now, don't think of the color blue. That'd be the worst thing you could possibly do right now. So don't think about the color blue. Really, really, really bad. If I said, whatever you do, don't think of the color blue, your brain has an awful lot of trouble following that direction. because it doesn't compute negations, right?
Okay.
So the word don't is like, what? Think of the color blue, so understanding a little thing like that, Tony Robbins could say, now, I don't want you to get too excited when I tell you about what we're going to do here with the firewalk experience. I don't want you to get really excited right now as we describe how you're going to walk across fire in just a minute, right? So he's using that same sort of thing because of the awareness that NLP offered him about how that word impacts us. Don't means do that. So, it's a weird thing to say, how did he use NLP on you? By talking, by using English language, by being aware that physiology is a big part of communication. So if I was up on stage giving a talk about doing a firewalk, and I said, all right, ladies and gentlemen, in just a few minutes, we're going to walk on fire, and it's going to be really exciting. And I want you to all get really excited now. Ready? I'm going to count to 3, and it's all say yes really loud. Okay, 1, 2. Right. Right. NLP says, hold on now. The effect of the communication is the response that you get. I should have turned my phone off. Sorry about that. It'll only ring a few times and then I've got a voicemail. Anyway, NLP realizes the effect of communication is the response you get. So Tony Robbins, of course, doesn't talk like that in front of a room full of people. He's going to go, all right, folks, we're going to take the step. We're going to, who's ready to do it? And he talks like that and with big gestures and, loud amplification because he realizes that the submodalities are important. So he's got the big screens up. He's got amplification. He's got drums. He's got music, right? That's impactful. And it's an awareness that comes, and also you could say from NLP.
Okay, so I will no longer say, did you use on me there? You NLP'd me.
I helped you.
But, a lot of people, we know that he uses it. I believe he calls it something else now,
Associative conditioning, yeah.
Okay. But we know that it's NLP, so a lot of people think, well, how did I manage to walk on fire? And we know that there's some technology, but that he uses and that he has become an expert at, but we don't know how. We don't understand it. So it seems like NLP has all these great benefits. So in me learning NLP, and you went over a few, but I'm just going to ask again, what is it that if I learned NLP, how can I use this in my life to build a successful life for me?
That's a really good question. I don't mean it's like a good question for you. I don't know how you do it. I didn't mean it like that. As well-constructed question there, Margaret.
Thank you.
Yeah, in a way, it starts from asking, like, well, what isn't happening yet? If some people, I think it was Winston Churchill who said, some people are born great, some people achieve greatness, and some people have greatness thrust upon them. Some people are kind of born great in a way that they already, maybe because of their parenting or whatever, they already think positively. They already have an ability to visualize and say, oh, that's what I want to do. Let me go get that. Some people are already, sort of gifted, if you will, with that ability to make things happen in life. Other people aren't, maybe, again, for whatever reasons, good parenting, lucky, genetics, who knows. But as an example, a person might have a parent, I call them amateur hypnotists, who has said something to them like, oh, you're so clumsy, you'll never amount to anything. What's the matter? Why do you even belt? They've said shit like that to their kids, possibly with good intention, keep them safe or whatever. Don't try that, John. You're going to fall. You're too clumsy. You can't do that, whatever. But nevertheless, teaching them patterns of thinking that keeps them stopping. So every time they try to do something, they say, oh, I could never accomplish that. I'm too clumsy. Right? So something about their circuitry, their patterning, their neuro-linguistic programming isn't functioning well enough to get them to where they want to go. So part of what NLP does is it says, what is that? What's stopping you? Let's see if we can, find out what pattern isn't working, replace it with a pattern that does work. It could also simply be that we don't necessarily have to diagnose the problem. Just say, whatever you have been doing, stop that. Now do this instead. And we sort of, create a pattern by modeling someone else's success about what you do first, what you do second, what you do third, and then just, use NLP to ask yourself good questions, to visualize good things, to use, basically the difference between a computer and this computer, a neurological computer, is that this one isn't just digital. It is literally, we see pictures in our brain, and how we see those pictures, if they're really big pictures or if they're really small pictures, or if they're moving pictures, or if they're still frame pictures, that has an impact on our physiology, right? So we can decide, we can find out how successful people do what it is they want to do. We can recognize that everyone, you, me, everybody has the same computer. We got the same computer when we went to the computer store. We see, we hear, we taste, we touch. We have 5 sensors. We have input channels. We can do what anybody else does. If anybody else can do something successfully in life, you can do it too. So that's what NLP can do for you, is it teaches you that you really have limitless possibilities. And anything you want to do in life, be fit, be trim, be successful in business, be successful in show business, be successful in relationships. Anything you want to do, you can do.
Okay. Thank you for that. So, Doug, you have a training program coming up here in New York.
It's true.
Can you tell me a little bit? And it's I believe, a Practitioner Certification. Can you tell me a little bit about that program?
Sure. Yeah. Back in the early days of NLP, Richard Bandler and John Grinder started teaching people how to do it. And they at first, taught in weekends or weekdays in Richard's house, kind of thing. But as it evolved and they learned more things that they felt were necessary to know about how to do NLP, they finally developed a certification program that at first was 28 days in length. So people would go to Santa Cruz, California, and
long time.
Yeah, live there for a month and be, like a month of training. And they would do it every day. There'd be like this immersive thing for a long time. They got better at doing it over time. They got more concise and precise in knowing what actually was necessary to be learned and what wasn't really necessary to be learned in order to be a practitioner of NLP. Divided it kind of into 2 segments. There was a practitioner and then a master practitioner. So instead of 28 days, it was like 14 days of 2 different things, 2 different levels. And so the Society of NLP, formed by Richard Bandler back in the 80s, was an effort to codify it so that it was a good enough training that met certain standards. There are lots of other trainings out there. Some of them not so good. They say I can teach you everything you need to know in 5 days, but honestly, you can't. You can perhaps be shown it, but to really get it requires some practice. There's that old Chinese saying that says, I hear and I forget, I see and I understand, but I do it and I own it. Or words to that effect. So we have a lot of practice time where you're doing exercises with each other and it really gets into your system. So it's a 14-day training where you learn cognitively everything you need to know to be a practitioner of NLP, but you also practice it and read about it over time, practice it in, classes. We do it 2 days a month, 1 weekend, 2 days a month for 7 months, 7 weekends. I think approximately that, at least. Might be close to 8 months or 6.5 months. I'm not sure how it lays out exactly, but it's essentially 1 weekend a month, 2 days a month for 7 months, 7 weekends.
Okay. And after this course, it's a certification. What can I do with that certification then?
You could put it on your wall. It's really pretty. It's got a border around it and a gold seal and stuff. You could put it up and show people, have friends over. Okay, you could take pictures of it, put it on Facebook. A little selfie thing would be nice. Lots of things you could do with it. I
Who
actually
signs it?
I'm sorry. You're talking about practical applications. It's, it's, it's signed by me and also by Richard Bandler himself. The guy himself signs it. He's still involved with the Society of NLP. And John Lavelle, who's the president of the Society of NLP, signs it. So it's signed by three folks, me, and them. But in all honesty, you could do anything you want to with it. Most people use it for themselves and their relationships and their business. Most people don't say, okay, now I'm going to start doing like what Doug O'Brien does. I'm not going to necessarily go into NLP coaching or NLP certification training or something like that. They just want to be better athletes or better businessmen or better coaches or better bankers. As an example, a friend of mine and I just today did a training very much like a fire walk, except instead of building fires, we had them break boards, a breakthrough experience at Citibank, for a bunch of bankers. Okay. So, it's not that they're going to say, oh, this banking thing has been good up till now, but now that I know NLP, I'm going to just leave investment banking and go into NLP. It's so much better. They're just going to be better bankers, basically. It's not a whole certification course, of course, but still, that's how most people use it. They become better and happier and more efficient at what it is that they're already doing. You could, however, if you chose, use it in coaching. You could become a certified NLP practitioner where you hang out a shingle, if you will, and people come to you the way they come to me to fix something that's not so great in their life. Maybe they have a phobia of bridges. Maybe they're not being successful in losing the weight they want to lose. Maybe they're not really, accomplishing what they want to accomplish in their corporate job or whatever. I do a lot of, just coaching like that as well. One of my clients is a professional bull rider who I'm going to be talking to as soon as we get off this conversation today, because he's out in Las Vegas competing today. Professional bull rider. Can you imagine that's your job? How was the office day today? Oh, good. Stayed on old Nelly. He rides really angry 2,000-pound animals for 8 seconds, and then he's done for the day. It was crazy.
Enough risk of his life for the day there.
Yeah, exactly.
8 seconds.
It's not so bad. Usually, really very few people have been killed by falling off bulls. Not injured.
Maybe trampled or pierced.
Trampled, yes. Bones, jaws, whatever. Nevertheless, I have a professional football player as a client of mine. I have real estate people in New Jersey who are clients of mine, who are coach clients of mine. I've got a developer in Miami who's a client of mine. So it's applicable in a whole lot of different areas, and you could do that as a practitioner. You still there? You froze up. You still there? Are you moving? I just have a still framed picture of you now, Margaret. I don't know if you're still there or not. Well, if the podcast is still being recorded, I'll just ramble on for a bit longer.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm back. I heard. No, it breaks up sometimes. I've experienced that, but you're here. I could hear you talking.
Good. Wonder what's recorded at that moment, because it says it's recording. I wonder.
Yeah, I think that recording. It does pick up well. But just in case, if you want to go over, the last thing I heard you say clearly was that you also have a client who's a developer in Miami, a real estate developer.
So I was just saying that, there are lots of applications for NLP, and as an NLP practitioner, you can help people accomplish what they want to accomplish. You don't have to be a bull rider or a professional football player or a developer or anything to help people do what they want to do. You say, okay, where are you? What's stopping you? What's the strategy you're using? Who do you know that does that? Let's do what they did. When have you done it before? Let's do what you did before. You can find their strategies and help them do what they've been wanting to do. So it's a really powerful thing. It has broad applications like that, because everybody, when I first started learning NLP, honestly, I was a rock musician in New York City. And I went to this Tony Robbins thing, and it was pretty woo-woo. It really was. He did it at a whole life expo. There were probably about 300 people, maybe, in the firewalk experience, which was a big crowd for him back then. It was a big crowd.
Okay.
But, a whole life expo, it's where people wear pyramids on their head and, it's pretty wacky stuff. And, they were my people. so my girlfriend was really into that sort of thing, whatever. And, I was okay, fine. That's good. I liked it. But honestly, I just didn't think that anybody like normal people would ever be interested in this thing. And so although Tony Robbins' methods back then for promoting his own workshops was to get people who had previously done it to then go forth and get their friends and family to come do it as well.
Okay.
I was not good at that. I was not good at persuading my family and stuff. My sister's an architect. My brother's a PhD at Duke University. It's like they're not
coming as firewalk.
Yeah, exactly, right. But then I had this kind of revelation. I realized that everybody, architect, research scientist, cop on the street, everybody has this same brain. We all have the same neurological computer, and we can all benefit from learning how it works. So you start getting the results that you want rather than those factory preset patterns that got in there by those amateur programmers, let's say. I call them amateur hypnotists, but nevertheless, those people like the parents or the teachers or whomever from the past that said, this is who you are and this is what you're capable of, and don't go beyond that, you know. So we get rid of that and do what we want. So funny when your face freezes up like that, Margaret, because there's the Ganesh poster behind you. It looks like a little religious poster with a halo around your head. It's very interesting. Could you hear what I just said?
It broke up a bit.
Yeah.
You said amateur programmers.
Yeah. And then I kept talking. Yeah, so.
Hopefully it was recorded. But I know you said the amateur programmers who, were teachers or spiritual leaders or
right.
Silly friends.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So when does your New York class start?
Well, when does it start, Margaret? It starts, what is it, the 20th or 21st? I'd have to go to my calendar here. Let me look. It's the weekend before Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Let me just look at there. It's, I hope I'm not doing anything too nasty to your thing. So it's Thanksgiving is the 26th, so it's the 21st and 22nd of November.
Okay.
The rest of the dates are really basically once a month.
Okay.
Until the end of April. So I think the last weekend, if I recall correctly, is April 30th and May 1st.
Correct. Okay. But we'll be able to get more information on your website.
Yes. Yes.
And
which
your
is
website?
Ericksonian.com. Ericksonian is spelled after Milton Erickson. So Ericksonian hypnosis, but it's just Ericksonian, ERICKSONIAN.com. Ericksonian.com. You can also probably Google Doug O'Brien hypnosis or whatever and find me that way too. NLP, Doug O'Brien, New York. Yeah.
Okay. So this is actually the first of a 4-part series that we're doing on hypnosis. And today
NLP.
And NLP. I'm sorry, did I say hypnosis?
You did, yeah.
To say NLP. I think that slipped in there in my other than conscious mind.
Ooh, nicely done. Yeah.
So this is part 1. There will be a part 2 coming up, a part 3 and a part 4. And this was basically like an introduction to NLP, what is NLP, and how you can use it to build a successful life. With the awesome, awesome, awesome master trainer, Doug O'Brien. Woo woo! Okay, so I will post some links also in here, and we can find all the information we need at www.ericksonian.com.
Sweet.
Thank you,
thanks.
Doug.
All right. See you next time.
Peace out.